Hello everyone, good morning, afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another episode of TouchMyClock. Today, we'll be talking about everything that's around calendars and those kind of complications. So, what a calendar is, annual calendar, perpetual calendar, secular, eternal calendar, all that kind of stuff. And a bit of history about
Even a complete calendar.
Even a complete calendar, whatever that is. So, that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, first of all, shall we do a wrist check? So Max, would you like to show us what you have on the wrist?
Yeah, absolutely. Very quickly, this is... I don't have a calendar type watch. I'd be interested to get one, but for now I'm okay. This is an Anchor watch. I might have shown it before, might have not. It's got inscriptions on the dial in French that says 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's very tank-like as a watch. It's very small. I'm not sure if it's running anymore because it wasn't running last time I was wearing it, and it's been running now, so...
Classic Max.
That's fine. How about you guys?
I'm wearing an Endura, which they call it the fake perpetual. And I will explain it later of why.
Oh.
But it has no actual complication inside the movement that's making it remember the day, the date, the month, etc. But you basically put it by hand. So I'm going to show quickly how it works, more or less. So if you see around the dial, so you have your time, and now you have the days of the week. And if I can manage it, if you unscrew this, you can turn the bezel and actually set the day on what day it is, and then you basically have a complete calendar.
Oh, so this is almost it's a monthly calendar.
Yes.
Interesting.
So you just set it by hand, basically, and so you don't need the complication.
So instead of a date wheel, you have a bezel that gives you the time.
Exactly. You have a bezel that you can spin and set it to whatever you want. So it's nice, but these are very cheap little vintage ones you can get. Like
it's not totally silly because I don't like having something in the
this
dial
makes it
that says the day.
Super easy to set. Yeah. That's a really nice thing. That's it.
So when you're in action, you should be moving it on the wrist. But if you actually want to show or do something, they tell you should take it off the wrist and then change the date, time, and then put it back onto the wrist.
Yes.
There we go. Anyway, so I have today the
you
pussy
don't have
watch.
to handle your watch.
But it's the what?
Yeah, you missed that.
Yeah.
I have today the pussy watch. This is a watch that
we go again.
Max bought me. It does actually say pussy in French at the bottom, and it just proves that TMC is all about affordable watches. Because this one here is an annual calendar, and you can look at that there. Very colourful, very bright, and gives a lot of information. So there we are.
Okay.
The fuck are you doing?
Hello. So, what should we do? Do you think the history is first important to start?
Always. I'll cover a little bit of the history. So
Let's hear it.
calendars came from this tradition of eating chocolate during Christmas. And after doing it for many, many years, M&S and Tesco basically said this could be a good way of counting time. No, let's go back to the beginning. We've covered in
Once Upon a Time
in Hollywood is an excellent movie. There's nothing to do with what I'm about to say. We covered in another episode talking about everything but horology, a little bit what water clocks used to do, what the Egyptians used to do, the Mayans. So I'm not going to go over that. There has been many useful objects to tell the time, but I'm going to focus only on those that are more mechanical based, and then a little bit more about those that actually need an escapement to run, right? So there needs to be something that's fairly autonomous about it.
So are you going to be talking about Thomas? Thomas Mudge.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good man.
Yeah.
You see? Good man.
It's weird excitement.
British. He started
then
the
you
oldest perpetual, I think 1792.
He's gonna do history.
Anyway, let's all over to Max.
Jesus.
Tell us about Thomas the Tank Engine.
So should I cover that? Should I go back?
Let him.
Please
talk
do.
about it. Why is there fallout?
All excited.
So
Now,
I did say I didn't want to go through the entire history, but this is very important to talk about. So this has been discovered not too long ago after doing some underwater, obviously underwater it's diving, but some diving expedition, and this is the Antikythera mechanism. This genuinely changed the entire archaeological community's perspective on technology. Mm-hmm. What this is a reconstruction of essentially a calendar watch that is this complicated. This was done before Christ. What this can calculate is your tropical year, your moon's orbit, lunar phase, meteoric pointers, games dial pointer. Now, why this is calendar is not only can it calculate like yearly or before we used Gregorian, Julian, it was more astronomical years, but also this would calculate every 4 years for the Olympic Games. So this had almost a special function that
A chime for the Olympics.
Nearly. It didn't chime, but you'd be able to do very complex calculations, and this was considered the very first computer of all time.
So it was tracking solar time.
It was tracking several different types of solar times. It was unbelievable, and I want to talk about this because you can go through Chinese history and Indian history, etc., and see many amazing marvels, but as a machine, this is the very first, which makes me feel comfortable to skip way past into talking about your best friend,
Tom.
So,
Engine.
Thomas Mudge invented what?
The oldest perpetual.
The oldest
Perpetual what?
Lever escapement moment. There you go, you see.
You're just reading
in
bits.
in 1762, if I'm not mistaken.
So to
great
understand
memory.
to understand how time works, I'm going to become a little bit nerdy now. But from before the Gregorian calendars, which was by Pope Gregorius XIII, we used the Julian calendar for about 1,600 years. Only in the last 400 or 500 years have we actually used this new calendar. And the way that it works is 365 point blah 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 refers to your solar year. So a real solar year is 365.2422 days. But you can't divide something by 2422, so we had to have it rounded up. So an average calendar year is 365.2425. Now you can start to imagine why every 4 years you get February that changes.
The leap year.
Now it gets even more complex. The rule for leap years are every year that is exactly divisible by 4 is a leap year. Then, except for years that are exactly divisible by 100, these are centurial years, but they can be also leap years if they are exactly divisible by 400. Anyways, very complex system, and so for that, we refer back to Thomas Mudge. Thomas Mudge is an incredible British inventor. I'm sure at some point we will be doing an episode about British inventions in horology, and he invented the lever escapement, which is the regulating mechanism of the, so it's a tuk, 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 that one. This sold for £62,000 only, which is insane. It's basically cheaper than if you were to buy certain Audemars Piguets, whilst this has so much more horological value. And from this point on, I want to jump straight into the wrist. And it is dominated by Patek Philippe. Now, yes, Patek Philippe did use, third-party manufacturers to make some things, but it is dominated by Patek Philippe. And Patek Philippe actually didn't think that this was a complication that men would like. It started out as this watch right here,
But this came quite late.
It came,
You talk about a jump in years by the time Patek actually put it onto the wrist.
yeah, it took a long time. It was very hard to miniaturize. A lot of the challenges with calendar complications is miniaturizing the entire thing. And this is still a 34.4 millimeter case. It was made for female clientele. It didn't work out, so they recased it. And it's only in 1941 that they started producing serially, as in to the public, because these were all private commissions. Now, another innovation that they did, and I won't go through the details of which is what Elliot will explain, but the annual calendar, actually, which is less complicated than perpetual, only came in 1996. The invention came barely more than 25 years ago. It's absolutely, this is 2 years before my birth. It was at the same time as, I've got it described here, the Nintendo 64, that this complication came out. Even though all the other complications...
So there was never an annual calendar before that?
No.
Well, that's a problem.
Which is unreal. And to go really quickly, I just wanted to talk about 2 watches that are very important for the development of annual calendars. And that was actually from IWC for the Da Vinci series. What they did was they basically reworked a Valjoux 7750, which means it was way more accessible and it wasn't just locked into very, very high horology brands. And one of the major differences is that you could actually change the time and the date using the crowns and the pushers.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Before
Very
that,
simple system.
you
you
had-
have the small pushers on the side of the case.
Yeah, so this made it more democratic in so many ways. But the problem with this movement is that you can only go forwards. You cannot go backwards.
Yeah, this was the main defect of this movement. So you couldn't actually go backwards.
Which
So
is
you
really
would break the movement, basically.
Yeah. Imagine you put on the wrong year and you're going to either
screwed.
have to get a watchmaker to do it or wait an entire year before you can have it accurate again.
Yeah.
So, who came up to solve this problem? It was Dr. Ludwig Ockenstein. I'm assuming he's
Very
German,
Swiss.
but he could be something else. Along with Rothsteiner, and they worked principally with Ulysse Nardin, although he has his own brand, etc. And they did it in a way where, although it's slightly asymmetrical, there isn't a beautiful ratio. This meant you could go backwards and forwards.
Okay.
Now, what is really cool to finish off my section, to do a complete 360 or calendar from start to finish, is that the person that designed this movement, which is like a Le Manual base that now many watches use, is the guy that actually spent time researching the antipaquera mechanism and rebuilding it from scratch. So the person that saw the very first mechanism for calculating these things is actually the one who made
There you go.
arguably one of the most famous ones that we use nowadays.
Fascinating.
So Elliot, we've been talking about many complex things such as annual calendars, perpetual calendars. You mentioned secular calendars, eternal calendars. He mentioned complete calendar, which I think is
No
complete
idea. Talking
shit.
about that.
What is the difference?
I had no idea, didn't research. So, I'm lying.
A calendar.
So basically, yeah. So I'm going to go bit by bit to more and more complex. So this is the Patek from memory. As you can see, it's written 5396.
Wow.
So this is an annual calendar. So how an annual calendar works, it's only accurate until the end of the year. And then it has to be readjusted. So you would get the day, the date, and you get to the month. Here it's a 24-hour subdial, so you can actually see, if it's the morning or the afternoon. But it only works to the end of the year, and then it has to be
And
readjusted.
do you know when you need to change it?
You're going to say it's wrong.
Leap year?
What you're going to say is wrong.
No, it's right. Well done. When do you change it? Annual?
An annual calendar,
Yeah.
when you change.
You change once a year. Odd. Yes! February.
Yeah.
For the leap year. Hoorah! Yeah, we're on a roll now.
Yeah, so that's an annual calendar. So then you can go more complex. And this is the Continent Perpetual by Hermes, which I love.
this watch.
And this is a perpetual calendar. So what a perpetual calendar does, it will adjust for the leap years. So as you can see here on subdials, it shows you 1, 2, 3, and then bisextile, année bisextile, which is the leap year.
Is it?
Yeah.
B16,
It's two, yeah.
B2.
Anyway, he's gonna write
Down, once
the
again.
correct thing.
Down
But yeah,
below.
so this is a perpetual calendar. So this will know when the leap years are every 4 years, and this will correct for it. But this is only correct until the year 2100, because we are going to remove. We're not going to count the leap year, so we can match the Gregorian calendar with solar time. So this is accurate until 2100. So then people will start crying because it's not accurate. What if you could have a watch that knows this rules? So the exceptions for the leap years, as you explained before, is it's if it's divisible by 100, in the exception of if it's divisible by 400, then you would not do it. So perpetual calendars don't know this. So for that is called a secular perpetual calendar. And IWC just did it
Yes, wow.
with their internal calendar. So this has a 400-year gear reduction and knows this exception. So every 400 years, it will know it, and it will make an exception for the leap year. So that's how it works. So this watch is technically accurate till the year 3,400 or so, because actually we haven't decided yet if we're going to skip the years then or not. If we're going to skip the leap years or not. But technically, this would be accurate forever. I mean, you would lose 2 minutes a week, so it's not really accurate. But, it's
Stunning
how it is.
piece. So, to step back, a calendar features a date. A complete calendar, commonly known, features a date and features the moon phase. That's the complete calendar. Then you get into your annual, day, date, month, and then you get into this absolutely incredible piece of technology with thousands of parts.
You're
doing
questioning what you just said as you're, as you're looking at it.
You said there was no complete calendar. So,
There is no
tickhead,
complete calendar.
a complete calendar is one that has a moon phase.
Here's the
Also-
question, Max. You have to guess.
What?
How accurate is the moon phase on this watch?
Oh, it's something like 4 million years.
It's 45 million years. The last one was
Wow.
2 million years. The last
But
record.
that's understandable because anything that's astronomical, anyways, its pace is so we can barely understand it because it's in millions of years. So
They had to make 11 trillion calculations, apparently, to be able to accurately put the moon phase on there,
that's so crazy.
which is pretty amazing.
But
I mean, in
but you know what's
45 million
interesting?
years,
I wonder if
the moon
from
was
a
smashed.
mathematical perspective it works, but from I mean, obviously it's not going to survive more than 100, 200 years. You'll get a problem. But purely from an even if you can oil it all the time and you can blah blah blah, I don't know if it would actually work. I feel like the maths are there, but it wouldn't actually line up in the fabrication because you're playing with such micrometers, nanometers.
anyway,
You could write
yeah,
a letter to your great grandson, and they will be able to answer it for you.
Yeah, he'll tell you if it's accurate or not. And then when that reaches 9,999 years, it's not eternal anymore.
What I'm impressed by this is how clean they've kept the dial for
It's
some things.
pretty amazing. What's incredible as well is guess how bigger this case width is compared to a Portugueser. If so.
10 millimeters?
10, do you know what 10 millimeters is?
Yeah, centimeter.
That's huge. That would be a lot. No, it's 0.1 millimeters bigger than a regular figure. So imagine that, being able to make this complex of a movement basically in the same size as a regular Portuguese case.
So the Portuguese, I think, annual is something like 40 odd grand. This pussy watch, which probably does the same thing, it's probably £4. And this must be in the realms of.
This is a price on request.
There we are.
So it doesn't have a price. So it's probably in the six figures,
Let's go.
I would guess. So doesn't it?
So I have a couple of watches, which I think you might find quite humorous, but it is a watch that will be able to tell you the time without any servicing, forever. And here it is. It's a sundial watch. And you just put this little sundial up while it's on your wrist. You move around and so that the compass is facing north and the shadow will tell you the time. Now, isn't that just a wonderful piece
horrendous.
of horrendous,
You buy it on AliExpress.
horrendous looking in terms of design?
Yeah,
but it
'cause-
works.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But it works. And so therefore, a lot of watchmaking thing does come back to the same basics. Would you want to wear that down the street? Probably not. But
Listen, that's that nice sound.
it is amusing to see how incredibly accurate it is in the Northern Hemisphere. And just to bring it alive from good old Martino, this is Jaeger LeCoultre Master Calendar, which is one of those epic watches that just superbly does what you were talking about with its moon phase.
So it's a complete
that's
calendar.
About 12k of watch.
12K. That doesn't seem so bad.
You got 12k?
No.
And you know what? JLC it's very likely that they actually make the movements for so many other
I mean, they
horology,
use
calendar.
Their
for the
in-house.
Holy Trinity, they were making movements.
That's their
for all
in-house
three of them.
8661.
See,
So, yeah.
but and you can see like from here, this is how you can screw up the watch for your friend. Just press these loads of times, he will love it.
I'm sure he's not even set it to the day.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Were the 26th? Were the 26th today? No.
No,
Well,
I think,
8th of June.
I think it was
So-
laying. I think it was laying in a drawer somewhere. So,
But that's also-
now it's seeing a little
It's
bit
December.
of light.
I was
Tuesday, December.
I was listening to John Mayer, who's a big fan of collecting calendar watches, so the musician, and he was saying it's never about the accuracy of the watch; it's about knowing of the accuracy of the watch that makes it special. And I completely get it. If I had if I had a perpetual calendar, I just want to wear it because it looks cool. I
you would
would
never
really,
have it all
I
the
would
time.
never,
You'd never
never
have it on
care
time.
about is it exactly on time.
Yeah.
Superb dress watches.
That's awesome.
Very good. What a fact-driven,
Interesting.
intellectual episode we created today.
Yeah, not like the last one. It's a complete mess.
And very much unlike the next one. So remember to
like.
and to
Subscribe.
and comment and follow us and see you all soon. Thanks,
you.
tickets.
Bye bye.